Okay, so hi again. This is Marinda Migueli, LawHelp Interactive Program Coordinator. Here with me is Claudia Johnson, Program Manager of LawHelp Interactive, and Mark Lordson is sitting in from Capstone Practice Systems. So as a reminder, today's call is going to be recorded for those who can't attend today's session or for those who are interested in revisiting it after attending today. And the recording and other call materials will be posted in the LHI Resource Center at the link displayed, and Claudia is going to drop that in the chat box as well, as so you have it. On the next slide is today's agenda. So it's going to be a lot of me talking. Hopefully folks will raise their hand and contribute so it doesn't get too boring with me. But I'm going to start off things with a few brief announcements and reminders, and then a discussion about LHI highlights and events this year, as well as a preview of what's planned for 2016. And we have some time set aside at the end for questions, comments, and discussion. But again, you're welcome to jump in the discussion in the presentation at any point. On the next slide, we have our announcements and reminders. And as a reminder, we have instituted a schedule of Microsoft Server patch updates. And they generally occur every third Saturday of the month at 1:30 a.m. and are super short. We say they are about 30 minutes, but they're much, much shorter than that. We've actually moved the December patch update back a week to the 26th, and this had to do with our code push tonight. We didn't want to make any changes to our staging environment that might impact how we do our code push today. So the code push tonight is going to take place at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be pushing some code related to the LHI Connect project, as well as the Minnesota Data Analytics project, and a few bug fixes. So we will send an update tomorrow once that goes through. In terms of upcoming conferences, most folks on this call are probably aware that the LSC TIG conference is soon approaching. It's taking place in San Antonio. The link displayed that will be shared in the chat box has some information about that. Registration is also open for the Equal Justice Conference taking place in May 2016. And that will take place in Chicago. We hope to see a lot of our partners there. The next slide, we're including a reminder, as mentioned earlier this month, and thank you, Brett Harrison, I don't know if he's on the call, but for circulating the information from Microsoft about Internet Explorer. So we already announced we are winding down support of IE8, and we encourage, especially in light of Microsoft not supporting later versions of, or earlier versions, excuse me, of Internet Explorer, and the security implications of that, folks to upgrade and encourage users to upgrade to the most recent version of browsers available. Now, it looks like there's something in the chat box. I'm just going to stop quickly in case it's relevant to here. Oh, it's just the links. Thanks, Claudia. Okay, and so January, no more IE8 support from LHI, and please upgrade your versions of your browsers, and we'll be updating our FAQs and thinking about other means to encourage our users not to use older versions of IE. Also, we're excited to announce a new feature that we're calling the Answer Extractor tool. That's basically a part of tonight's code push, and it will allow registered template developers to access answer sets in raw text form, and we believe that this will be useful for debugging. So we'll confirm that this is available and share more instructions on this tomorrow when we announce the completion of the code release this evening. On the next slide, here's sort of where the discussion begins. So some of the major events involving LHI on a national level this year are displayed, and of course the important partner and local level occurrences or LHI are definitely highlights, and it's exciting to see those projects, but I'm really today discussing overall LHI events. So in April, as many of you know, we moved with help from our partners and patients and testing to the LHI 2.0 environment. So it's my understanding in the last monthly call, we got some really constructive feedback on the experience of our partners in this new environment in terms of speed and upload process. So we're thinking about that, and as we plan for next year, how we can improve the LHI 2.0 environment. But this was a big accomplishment for us in 2015. We're also finalizing the LHI Connect or LHI events feature on LHI. So this project was covered in, I believe, our September call where Margaret Shin Hamlet was our guest speaker. So folks interested in checking out that recording, feel free to send me a message at mmigelli@probono.net and I'll send you the direct link. But it's basically a workflow that allows legal aid groups and licensed court staff to review documents for end users remotely and later in time as part of unbundled legal service models. And the Oklahoma instance of LHI Connect, they're using this for a really cool expungement project. This quarter, we also continue to work on the TIG-funded analytics project with partners in Minnesota. So this effort will expand our use of Google Analytics and our in-house data warehousing capacity to improve our end-to-end understanding of user experiences, users using LHI forms, starting in LawHelp Minnesota to the completion of a form on LHI. And I'm just going to pause for 1 second because Claudia has been a lot more involved with both the LHI Connect and Analytics project to see if she has anything to add on those projects. I also see some partners who are taking the lead on these projects on the call, so I don't know if they have anything to add as well.
Okay, thank you, Miranda. On LHI Connect, we are pushing code today, like Miranda said earlier, that will allow people to request specific Connect type accounts. So what is going to be happening is that when somebody wants to be hosting clinics and remote clinics and then have the sharing capacity on the back end, we have a new role in LHI that's called a Connect Coordinator. And the Connect Coordinator is going to show up tomorrow in the sign up, account type is going to say Request Connect Coordinator or Pro Bono Coordinator. Once LHI staff approves those requests, those two new personas will have the ability to create a Connect event, which will allow the program to put in a bunch of self-help interviews and attorney interviews that will allow people without LHI accounts to allow for the sharing of those answer files with the Pro Bono Coordinator and the Connect Coordinator, and or volunteer attorneys that then will be assigned the cases to create the document or the pleading with an advocate type hot docs interview. So this is kind of the final step to get that functionality going, and we're very excited to see how those new roles kind of become operationalized. And Oklahoma continues to test and train volunteers. And so hopefully by March of 2016, they'll start on evaluation and doing the formal evaluation for the TIG grant. And so if there are programs that are interested in starting to think about using that capacity, feel free to reach out to Miranda and me, I would say after the TIG conference, in case this is something that is of interest for other groups that are doing large group processing and working with pro bono lawyers who want to do short-term engagements to just do pleadings with the data pre-populated by the end user. So we're really excited about that, and Margaret has been a great partner in terms of giving us feedback on how the functionality is working and how to make it better for the pro bono volunteers and for lay people who are not lawyers. In terms of analytics, we have two pieces. One is plugging in code that will allow us to track activity on the LHI pages and also on the interviews. And we are starting with Google Analytics in hot dogs, so that our partners will be able to see how people are moving around once they get into an LHI interview, where they're exiting, and how they're moving through an interview workflow on the LHI screens and the hot dogs buttons. We have not yet figured out how to do it on A to J Author 4.0 or 5.0, but we are discussing that with the Cali team to see if it's something that we can add to that. The other part of the equation is that the users that use these interviews will be able to permit the legal aid program to view the answers that they insert into the interviews, be it A to J or hot dogs. So tomorrow we are basically pushing the code to allow for this backend answer sharing, where we'll be able to provide the program owner Excel report sheets that then they can use to manipulate about specific answers in LHI. This is capacity that we have never used, and it's highly experimental. And we're taking supporting Central Minnesota Legal Services and the support center there in figuring out how they're going to use this type of answers. They are focusing on demographic fields, age, income, that kind of thing, and all of the 5 interviews that they're testing are going to collect the same demographic data so that they can see if they get a sense of demographic differences among the users by problem type and by user audience. And I don't know if Jenny or anyone else who's on the call wants to say more about it, but it's really excited. We're going to be generating tons of data, and so then the next step is going to figure out how do we make this data usable. Once we have all the connections hooked up and the data is flowing, the question is going to be how do we tame all of this data.
And as a reminder, if there's questions or comments, feel free to raise your hand, or you can enter a question in the chat box and we'll read it aloud. Okay, doesn't look like there's anything, so we'll go ahead and talk about 2016 on the next slide. So, just kidding, 2015. So in addition to the system work, there's been some programmatic highlights on LHI. So that includes attending and participating in various conferences, the TIG conference, EJC, Pathway to Justice, and NLADA, to name a few. We've had our live training in 2015 directly preceding the TIG conference, as well as our fall online training with a record number of registrants, 17 registrants for that training. Ongoing monthly calls like this one, where we've had some exciting guest speakers and panelists, one-on-one support to our individual partners. And we will be releasing our annual LHI survey mid-January. So in addition to this forum, we want to hear from you in that survey so we can learn a little bit more about how we've done from the perspective of our partners and kind of use that information to inform how we move forward in 2016. So now I think we are actually moving to a discussion of 2016, unless there's any comments or questions about what we covered. It looks like there's something in the chat box. Let me see if that's a question or a link. Okay, that's just a link, okay?
Training's still open.
Training is still open, so we encourage folks to sign up for our LHI training. We are offering a beginner training as well as beyond the basics for folks who have experience with LHI but want to have an enhanced training experience. We've extended registration through this Friday. We really encourage you to attend, particularly if you're already attending the TIG conference. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Claudia or myself. So thanks, Mark. In terms of 2016, In partnership with Legal Aid Society of Hawaii, we will be completing a mobile usability project. We're going to look to optimize LHI for mobile and tablet use. A growing number of our users are accessing LHI from mobile and tablet devices, so it's important that we react to that trend in usage. Also, Michigan Partners will be developing a tool beginning next year that will help facilitate the process of translating Hot Docs templates into other languages. And I see some folks involved in that project on the call, so if you have more to add about that exciting project, feel free to raise your hand or drop a question in the question box. Also, in partnership with Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York, Pro Bono Net will be engaged in what we're calling the Closing the Gap project. And that's basically adapting the Citizenship Works 2.0 platform. And we can share the link to that platform in the chat box in a bit. With LHI, there'll be an integration with LHI and functionality to allow remote review of LHI documents through that site. So there'll be a lot of interesting features in that site to support remote support or remote representation of clients in the New York area, including video conferencing, LHI, and other features. So that's pretty exciting, and listen out for more information about that. So other planned activities for 2016, and I think Jessica's on the call in case she has anything to add. A2J 5.0 guided interviews have been implemented into the LHI environment. We're currently doing limited partner testing. In 2016, we plan to open up community testing of A2J 5 guided interviews. So stay tuned for details on that. And we've circulated and can circulate again, as well as Cali, information on how to convert your templates into 5.0, so they're ready to go once broader testing is open. We have a couple of issues that need to be addressed, so we're working with the Cali team to address that because we don't want to open up the environment too early and ask folks to test because we understand that folks have limited time to do this kind of testing. So we want to make sure that everything is right for meaningful testing for the broader LHI community, a lesson learned from the rebuild experience. We're also working to implement enhancements to the LHI 2.0 environment based on results from an independent review of the LHI infrastructure, as well as feedback from our partners, including issues that came up on the last call. In terms of training, we will be releasing new video resources in 2016, and these are derived from the fall 2015 online training. And we're looking to offer, if there's sufficient enrollment, this Beyond the Basics training track, which is new. We've offered advanced in the past, program management, and this is a little bit different than both of those tracks. Of course, ongoing bug fixes, training online and in person, and community outreach and support will continue in 2016. So after the last call, Claudia has put together a survey to kind of get responses and get the temperature of folks' experience on LHI recently. So that will be distributed, and that's another way that you can give us feedback, and that will help us plan for 2016. So we hope that you found that sort of high-level summary helpful, and it looks like somebody has their hands up. So I will unmute you. See who that is.
I think it's Jessica.
Jessica.
Okay. Hi, Jessica. You're unmuted.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to sell the Beyond the Basics training. So few people might not understand what we're offering. And so I teach A to J, and I do some teaching of hot docs for our law students, and I would be scared to attend an advanced training. So we thought of this training as something that you've gone to or watched one of our live trainings or our online trainings, and you want to practice. So we're kind of creating simulation exercises that you'll be able to practice with. We'll have some trainers on hand to help you work through real life examples. And hopefully it won't be boring. So I just wanted to sell the Beyond the Basics track for anyone who might be on the fence. And it's the Tuesday before TIG starts, so you're already going to be going anyway, so you might as well come.
Thanks. That was a helpful sell. So I don't know if anybody else has questions or comments in terms of 2016 and as we reflect on the end of the year.
Well, this is Claudia. Not to beat people over the head on the training, but on the beginner base training we're doing live at TIG, we will do the A to J5 live. I know that a lot of you have been learning it online, but sometimes you're in a room with people struggling with the same problem, and then you have your aha moment in a collective kind of learning environment. So since we are hoping to open up 5.0 next year, and we will discontinue support of 4.0 a number of months after that 5.0 is in LHI, I hope that programs are really starting to think about conversion training and getting up to speed with 5.0. So if you're going to take, this may be a really fun way to meet other people in the community that will be working on 5.0, so that once we start the testing and all of that, you can feel comfortable using the list and reaching out and really having more of a sense that you're not the only one in your state that's focused on getting everything that was on 4 to 5. So just pitching in the beginner track too. But we're excited with the Beyond the Basics, and we hope other people see the benefit of joining us for one day on that.
Thanks, Claudia. Anything else from our panelists or our attendees?
This is Mark. I was kind of hoping for applause for the answer extractor feature. I can't hear them applauding, but that's been a long time in coming, and hopefully tomorrow it will be actually functional and usable.
And Mark, can you describe basically what it's going to let developers do and what they're going to need to do to pull down their answers outside of hot dogs?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Basically, what it does is there'll be a new icon next to any answer file you own or have shared to you. Looks like a little eye, and when you click it, it'll pop up the contents of the answer set in a child window, just as raw XML. And you need to highlight that, and if you want, you can inspect it there if that helps you. It's kind of sometimes inscrutable unless you know how these things work. But you can highlight it and save it into a local text file, give it an ANX extension, and then it's available for looking at inside of a local hot doc session. There's a few other technical details we'll review and publish, but that's the basic idea. And so it gives us the ability now to grab answer sets online that are somehow misbehaving, and heretofore, without some real acrobatics, you couldn't get to them as files. Now you will be able to. So there's a few steps involved, but it's a real major breakthrough, I think, as far as power to debug things.
Okay, thanks, Mark. I think we have a quiet crowd today, but feel free to follow up via email if you have thoughts about what's planned for next year. And also we want to hear from you via the surveys that will be circulated. Displayed is the registration link for our next call, which will happen post-TIG, January 26th. And we hope to see some of you in person at the TIG event, and we hope that the end of the year has been a good one. Looks like there is one question or comment, so I'm just going to check that. Okay. Yeah, you got your applause, Mark. I'm quiet because
I feel much better now.
I was stunned by the answer file news. Yay, and that's from Bob Aubin. So yeah, that's good. Good, quiet. So yeah, there we go. All right. Well, again, have a great new year. Thank you for joining us in what I imagine is a super busy week, and we are available if you want to reach out for anything. All right. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.